researching disparities in special needs education at a policy at Yale Policy Institute, and
Hmm.
that's not surface level work. That's systematic and needs a lot of research and deep level analysis.
Hmm.
When did you start caring about systems instead of just stories?
Yeah, of course. I would say really what inspired me to like join Yale Policy Institute is a lot of like the research that I did in high school that was centered around like psychology and about like how individuals interact with each other, and like I was really became interested in specifically special needs education with a certain project that I did with Think Neuro, and it was about like how we can use music incorporated in special needs education. So I was like, wait, that could be like really good like tailoring point as to like research the accessibility of special needs. And then I found this through Yale Policy Institute. It was actually like perfect aligning as to like they had the education sector was like doing a project this year about like the access of special needs. So I'm like, wait, that's super interesting. And I feel like when it comes to like systematic research, because like the research that we did, so last semester we did like a whole very granular, very detailed research about like what is the special needs education landscape, like what pedagogies are in place now, and how can we go forward. And that now we're doing like really the going forward part and like how we can incorporate things into like the accessibility of special needs. But I feel like one thing with that is one thing I also have learned like while working for the Yale Policy Institute and also like Med Youth United is that you need to have the perfect balance of like doing research and also having a balance of like hearing stories and like hearing the personality of the people that make up what you're trying to show. So for example, for the Yale Policy Institute, we have to research we did research like extensively last semester, but then like now we're talking to a whole bunch of people who work in the special needs sectors, when it really ranging from like Yale students who are volunteering their time at like a local school to like the heads of like the district of like the New Haven Public School. So it like varies a lot, but I feel like all of their stories just give like support to the research that we've been doing. And I feel like that applies to really any project essentially. It's like you can have a certain level of research and you can like do as much as you can to like on paper be like, oh, like this is what needs to be done. But if you're not like having like the stories of like what's going on now and like stories of people who are working within those certain systems, like it's never going to really be full. Like your project is never going to be full. So I feel like having that good balance is like super essential.
What are some things about education today that frustrates you the most?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. You're gonna get my gears turning. But I really feel that like there needs to be more of an emphasis on just like starting up from a really young age. There's so many things that are going on in the education sector right now. Like the amount of students who are below the literacy rate, the amount
Yeah.
of just like kids who aren't like reading at the level that they should be. And also like educate there's also like school problem like disparities that are happening like within classrooms that really vary and go to show like the system of education that's going on right now for like all students, like the amount of like financial aid is like at its lowest, and like the amount the kids that want to go to college right now, like access rates are so low, and also like there's just so many things that are going on, and it just shows comes to show that like we aren't taking education as seriously as it should be, because at the end of the day like the people that we are putting through the education system, they're going to be our thinkers, like they are the next generation and that like are going to lead us, you know? So I feel like there needs to be more of a focus on just inspiring and having more of a focus from a young age, especially like K through 12 education, and making it really equitable as to like where we want our students to be in the future. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that you mentioned is starting early, and I feel like I'm from India, so even in India, there are a lot of things that people or children should be taught at a very young age, but the schools they don't really start teaching such basic things at the very beginning.
Hmm.
Like, for example, AI is the new few, like it's the new coming thing today. So I
Yeah.
think people sh or children should be taught AI from a very young age, from the primary school like when they're young children. So there are
Yeah.
a lot of things other than that that I think they should start doing at a very younger age because
Yeah.
when you're younger, it's easier to learn things rather than when you grow up. Because when you grow up, you have already a lot of things on a plate to decide what you want.
Hmm.
So the basic
Exactly.
necessities will be taken care of. Yeah.
Having
Um,
that like open exposure from a young age as well is super important, like especially
yeah.
with AI, like knowing how to use it in a way that like is
Mm.
only beneficial to your education, you know, and like not misusing it and like using it in a way that like you are able to think for yourself, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you think young voices are heard enough in the policy spaces today?
Hmm. I would say that there has been an increase in like push to get youth voices out.
Mm.
Like for example, I feel like when I was like a lot younger, I wasn't really seeing or hearing people like in my community going into like having their voices really being heard. But I feel like there's
Yeah.
been a really great shift over the past like 10 years where a lot of companies now are like really seeking out interns or really seeking out like youth perspectives to like tailor the like what their company is now to like kind of go with like social media. I feel like social media is also a big part of it because like young people are so attuned to like things that are going on online in terms of like AI and also like but also like social media platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn,
Hmm.
TikTok. And like those skills are really valuable right now. So I feel like there is an
Yeah.
increase in like youth voices that are being heard. Also with like a lot of companies now looking for like interns, a lot of them are like having youth advisory boards. I've been seeing a lot of those like
Hmm.
recently that like they're looking for like a group of like young students to like give their insights and like give their
Yeah.
impressions of like things that are going on in the world from a youth perspective.
Hmm. As per you, what does a real reform looks like?
What does policy reform look like?
Yeah.
Policy reform for me, I feel like it's the perfect for me. Like I never really knew that I wanted to go into like governmental work, and I feel like public policy is the perfect intersection of like having like ideas of like what you want a certain like sector to look like, but then also having like the economical and also like the financial logistics to actually make that idea a reality. So I feel like for public policy for me, like the sphere that I want to go into, like the educational system, and just like looking at all the things that are going on now and like how like for example like classroom disparities aren't matching like the amount of financial support that a school is getting, and that can be totally rectified with like public policy and like policy things that we can be implementing on a national level to kind of just like bring together things on a societal level. Like for example, right now I'm taking a class called Social Issues in America, but it's an econ class, which is so interesting because like we're taking things from like a psychology standpoint. It is so interesting. Like right now, actually, we're talking about like education and the fact that like there's so much happening, and like where kids like aren't really going to college, and like there's not the highest like access rate to colleges right now, and like there's a disparity between like schools that have like really high access rates, so like a lot of children are going to those schools, but like once you come out of those like schools that with high access rates, a lot of them aren't getting jobs. So like that's the one thing that like can be rectified with policy. It also like goes like for inverse as well. Like people who are going to like selective schools like Ivy League universities, they're going there. These schools have really low like access rates because like it's really hard to get into the Ivies. But like after when you graduate from the Ivies, it's like you have this like vast opportunity of like jobs and opportunities and things like that. So I feel like public policy can like really bring together like change we want to see and like how we can actually make that change. And that's why I really love econ. Like I feel like econ's so essential and it's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
You're also a staff reporter. What does writing give you that research doesn't?
Wait, that's so cool. Because I feel like one thing about research, like really like detailed, like for me, like it was always like psychology research that I was doing in high school. And with that, you have a lot of just like analytical research is really just like looking at the past and looking at like different scientific things that were published. But I feel like writing in more of a journalistic sense gives you that freedom to like embed stories and also like have like research with it as well. So it's a good mix of like history and also history things that are going on now and also like stories. So for example, I write for the Yale Daily News here, and it's a perfect mix of just like I'm going out and I'm like interviewing people and I'm doing like extensive like meeting people, getting quotes from different people, but I'm also having to like research who these people are, what they do, what's their involvement in their club, and like what's the history of the club. Yeah, you know? So it's like it's that I feel like journalistic writing, it's just that really perfect intersection of just like being able to like tell stories and also just like have a level of research that like strict like psychology research doesn't allow you to have.
Yeah, and also you can have even your perspective when you're in
Mm.
journalism. Like in research, it's basically you just have or collecting data from here and then getting deep into
Yeah.
it. But journalism, you can even add up what's your perspective is about different things.
Wait, truly, yeah.
Yeah. Do you see journalism as activism?
Mm. I would say yes and no. The one thing about journalism is that there's very strict like biases, rules as to like for like very objective forms of like journalism, you cannot have like your own right. So for that sense, I feel like it is like you're kind of stepping back and you're just like telling a story on the plate. That's also why I say yes, because like the fact that you took the time out to like include certain details, include certain like dates and like a quote or something is just showing that like you prioritize this certain like, idea or you prioritize a certain perspective that you're going to the lengths to have it emphasized in your. So I would say like yes and no. And yeah.
Um, how do you think you balance both objectivity with conviction?
Hmm. I would say that's honestly been a really big struggle for me because for me personally, I work with I'm in the university section and I work for
Mhm.
like just being able to like tell different stories of like what people are doing on
Yeah.
campus. So I haven't really had that much like trouble with just like being able to like what do I want to tell? Like what's my like opinion on this and also just like
Hmm.
what is this person doing and like what are they contributing to a society? But I also think like the conviction part has to go with like what's your intention with you writing this piece. Like for example, if I'm writing a piece about like different as a protest that was happening on campus and maybe I
Hmm.
have like personal ties to that protest, I you really have to remove yourself and be like, okay, like if I'm portraying this narrative, if I'm like really highlighting this, is this reflective of like what the story was or is this reflective of like what how I feel? So I feel like that form of detachment is really essential when like for example in journalism where journalism nowadays I feel like has become very very subjective and it's like there's like different like news sources, especially in America, like different news sources that are portraying and highlighting one narrative so much. With that, it creates dissent among like the people of like, oh, like what to believe, you know, like, and with that, it creates like mass confusion and like at a crazy level that like people aren't getting reliable sources. So I feel like as a whole, like journalism needs to be truly just truly objective, but like and like writers having the responsibility to like remove themselves from like what they're writing. That's one thing that's always emphasized in the Yale Daily News. That's like don't get too attached to like the things that you're writing about because it's like your job is to just like literally push the news out. So yeah.
Hmm. Do you think storytelling is a great power itself?
Yeah. I honestly I feel like storytelling is that one thing that we can truly
Hmm.
it like defines us as humanity essentially. Like not even in the
Yeah.
form of just like writing storytelling, but also just like artistic and like dancing and like singing. It's just like any way that the like people can express themselves is just like a
Hmm.
form of like them putting out like what they're in like what's going on in their head, what happened like in their history in their past, like with their culture, you know? So I feel like storytelling is
Yeah.
that one special thing that should truly be preserved. Like for example, like in the dance group that I'm in, like all the I'm choreographing a piece like this semester, so like all the moves that I have are like super relative to like my Hispanic background, but also like my Puerto Rican background and like my black background and like where my parents grew up, they grew up in Brooklyn and it's like very like hip hoppy. So having all of those like being represented in like the dance that I'm now teaching and like putting out into the world is a form of storytelling and it's just like so essential nowadays as to like we're having a lot of AI and like things that are like kind of distorting our view of like what truly defines humanity and like who are like human passion, you know? And I feel like storytelling is the one preservation of that and like artistic form. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like you can really express yourself and your feelings through these different creative forms, be it art, dance, music, or anything. Because even when an artist has a picture with it, with him or her, so there's a different story behind it. Like you don't always get to know what the backstory is just by looking at the art. It needs the proper imagination. I tend to go to a lot of public libraries and everything
Yeah.
India and outside India. So it's very difficult to tell like what's the backstory of these images.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
wait,
feel.
that's so right. Because like also like just like for me like paintings and like different forms of art, like I go to the Yale Art Gallery like all the time.
Hmm.
And like one if you like know the history of it, that's super like so prevalent as to like what's being portrayed on the painting. But also like if something is like drawing at your heart, like a certain like picture or way a certain person is like posed in a photo, that also
Yeah.
shows like your attachment to the form of art as well. So it's really like push and pull, like you know, like the history of an art and also like what you're getting from certain types of art. But yeah.
Hmm. I do find it so powerful that you combine the data available with with a narrative because policy without any humanity can feel distant sometimes. So yeah. You're also like you're on the youth advisory board speaking to healthcare professionals about adolescent mental health. What does it feel like being the youngest voice in such serious rooms?
Yeah. Wait, I would say that, especially for that the one role that I was in, it was for the Technology and Adolescent Mental Health Youth Advisory
Mhm.
Board, and I feel like that's something that's so prevalent now to just the welfare of like Gen Z and Gen X. But I felt like the fact that like they took the time to like ask us our opinions and ask us like what do you guys want to see, essentially what can we do better in this space where like youth are being supported, that I felt like wow, like this is like a space where I can truly be myself. And also like it's just like it makes me feel like great that like people are like looking for youth advice, and like it also gives me a little hope that like there's like more push towards like getting youth voices out there and having that really be like emphasized and prioritized, especially now.
And in this age, I think Gen Zs and the younger generations, they are being more open about their mental health. Like they're taking care of their mental
Mm,
health as they would have
yeah,
taken care of the physical health. So I think it's a
yeah,
great change to see because if I see the older generations, they don't really put emphasis on mental health too much.
really.
Yeah, so I feel like our generation, they are putting a lot of emphasis on mental health and they're taking care of it, and they're being very open about it, even on social media.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
that's something that's truly changed is like the openness of it, is like everyone is
Mm.
willing to share about their struggles, especially like at Yale. Like if I'm like having a bad day or like my friend is having a bad day, that's like a conversation that's so open to be had. Like truly, like
Yeah.
it's a very open conversational space, and maybe we'll talk about it later. But like also Yale is this, as themselves have been doing like an amazing job at like promoting mental health and like making sure that their students feel seen, because like in a competitive environment like this, it's like you have to make sure your mental health is first, to make sure
Mm.
that like you keep going and like can pursue your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also at universities like Yale, Stanford, and such higher universities, it can be a bit overwhelming too because you have the greatest of the greatest people or from all around the world. Yeah.
truly.
So it can be overwhelming sometimes. So it's very important to take care of your mental health when you're there.
Yes.
Um, have you ever in life have felt underestimated? Like, no, like, is there something that you feel like I could have done it, but then you are like, keep, people are not trusting you, or you feel that they're underestimating me?
Mm, I would say, yeah. So, well, one is more of like a self underestimating like measure that I've had. Like for example, with Med Youth United, there's a lot that I wanted to do, but also like not
Mm.
having the resources and also not having like the logistical skills to like make it
Yeah.
a reality can kind of feel a little bit like disappointing. And like reflecting back now is like when I started Med Youth and like things that I know now that I didn't know then, I was like, wait, like I could have done that, and then maybe things would have turned out a little bit differently.
Mm.
But yeah, I would say like in a global space, like feeling supported. I would say I haven't really felt feelings of like underestimation. Um, well, I would say like first coming to Yale, when I had like all my classes and stuff, it was such a big shift from like the high school classes I was taking, and I felt like, in a sense, I was like I had self doubts. I was like, wait, like I don't know if I can like get this work, but I feel like the professors here like they are so keen to like inspire, like having like fostering like and telling you that you can be good enough and like you are good enough. Like the fact that you're here, you're good enough, and like it just takes like maybe you have to put more work in. So I feel like here at Yale, I've only been met with like support and like encouragement. And yeah, I feel like the underestimating is more of like a self component thing that you have to overcome. Yeah.
But having such professors around you, it's such a positive environment to be in. Like
Truly, it
having so
is.
much support from the professors because it's not a very common thing, honestly. Yeah, like you don't always have that support from all the professors, even in different colleges. So that's a great thing, I
Yeah.
guess, about Yale. Um,
Yeah.
Coming back to the mental health, what's something adults gets wrong about the mental health, about youth's mental health?
Yeah, I would say
Like,
a lot of people just think it's like because of the phone. And it's like, okay, there are components or like the phone or just like the phone or like social
that's
media.
such a
It's like
pain thing to say. Yeah.
no, literally, it's just like
Because
they always think it's like because of the phone. I feel like there is a component that like okay, like maybe. people like our age are spending too much time on social media, and that can be a factor. But like there's also so many things that go into like an individual's mental health and like what's making them stressed out and what's making them like anxiety ridden. So I feel like there's a lot that parents can do as to be like, well, not parents, but like more of adults can be like more
Yeah.
supportive and more understanding that like there's so many dimensions to like young people's mental health. And I feel like spaces where youth voices are supported, like youth advisory boards or like intern positions, can really make their notion and make the youth emphasis on mental health more like broad and more universal.
Hmm. And about the phone thing, I do agree with it 100%. When I'm going through something, even my parents are like, you should, like use a phone a little less, be less on
Right.
social
Yeah.
media, decrease your screen time. So I completely agree with it. Like for
Right.
me, like all
Totally.
the adults around me, they just think that social media, your phone is the only thing,
Literally.
the cause behind your mental health.
Exactly. And it's like there's so much more. Like maybe it's a factor, but like there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and even in today's world, like where there's so much competition around, there's so much things going on around you. So even smallest of the smallest thing can affect your mental health. So person to
Truly.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, truly, especially like here. Go ahead, Indian. No,
No,
go
no, no,
ahead.
no, no.
No
You go.
worries. I was gonna
Uh,
say like especially here, like now where it's like every day to day is like like it's like you're up at like 8 and you don't come back until like honestly the libraries are full at like 2 a.m. It's insane. And it's like that is also like why also when I'm having a bad day, I'm like, wait, like that's also why because I've been like busy, busy, busy and it's
mm,
like wait, maybe it's not because of the phone. Yeah.
yeah. Um, how do you like you've done so much in life, been at some such different spaces. How do you as a person speak with so much confidence and diligence in such spaces?
Yeah, I would say that every room that I've like walked into, or like every table that I've been seated at with like people who are maybe more experienced than me, because also like here at Yale, like everyone is on their game. Everyone here is like, again, the best of the best. And like the
Yeah.
fact that I'm just like in a classroom with these people, I feel
Mm,
like you have to have a level of like, I can do this. Like even if you feel doubt or you feel a little like scared sometimes, having that level of like, again, like I mentioned a little bit briefly before, but like that level of like, oh, like I can do this and like confidence and like aspiration in yourself, I feel like is really essential to make sure that like you don't kind of flounder and like get lost in the fact that oh like on paper these people are like super much they're so much better than me and like I can't do this, but like having confidence that you can and like maybe it'll just like look differently. Like okay, like maybe this person is doing like X, Y, and Z and they look like this big important person, but also like I have the ability to make strides and like change my narrative if that makes sense.
yeah, makes sense totally. You are also a global ambassador advocating for literacy, working in environment literacy spaces. Why literacy? Like, why did you go for literacy and education?
Yeah, I would say that for me, it was really contingent, as I mentioned a little bit before, but like my background, where I came from, as wasn't really seeing that highlighting of like literacy and endeavors and like things that were truly
Hmm.
making children feel inspired in a way. And that's so essential as to like the youth culmination, but it's also while it is an effort of like children to like get that level of inspiration, it's also like on the account of like people who are running the educational systems and people who are setting different programs into place and making policy. As to, like I this has to be seen that like there's disparities in education that need to be rectified.
Hmm.
And I feel like the space that I'm at like right now in my life, as of like I'm like 19, I have the ability to like do big things and I'm kind of in the middle of a like representation of the youth perspective, but also like
Yeah.
I'm learning these skills that will prepare me for a job. And I'm in the perfect point where I can like emphasize that and be able to express that freely and show that like this is needed, this is what needs to be fixed. So I feel like in literacy for me essentially, and also the education essentially, I feel like again, it's just this really key component of like who you are as an individual. And like
Hmm.
the school that you grew up in like is kind of correlative to like your identity and like where you kind of end up in life and where you end up in life essentially because like the skills that
Yeah.
your school is instilling you with like the ability to read, the ability to do math, the ability to like socialize with other people, and if like we don't take that seriously as it is, it's going to be detrimental to like our next generation in ways that like we can't even like foresee it, I fear. So
Um, Do you believe that literacy is political?
That is a really good question, and I honestly think so. And because while honestly, wait, I feel like literacy can be misconstrued as political. Like, for example, like there have been so many book bans on like a national level and also like in
Hmm.
a school level, but like differ between like for the United States, like differ between states. And it because like the books
Hmm.
that like so for example, like a lot of schools like in the US they like to have like if they have like summer reading, like this is like the books that they can read, or like if the school has a library, like these are the books that can be allowed in the library. And it really sometimes comes to show and like represents the type of education system and the politics of that certain state. Like, for example, like Texas, a very like Republican type state, has a lot of like book bans. They have a heavy amount of like book bans that are silencing of like black stories and like LGBTQ stories. And for a way that does feel political, it feels politically correlative. Especially in New York where there's like increasing of book bans, it kind of like ties to also
Hmm.
the political system of what's going on right now. So again, I feel like it is correlative, but like the types of and also the types of literacy and the types of books that are being allowed in child education um are really, especially in schools, like the things that are being promoted essentially are really important because again, that's what's shaping our children, not shaping our children's, but have a really strong hand in like who our children like how they think, how they become, you know? Like it can be really thought of as like the stuff that I'm learning here at Yale, like all the things that I'm reading for at my classes and like the things that I'm intaking to support a different idea that I'm learning like in the classroom. They're shaping the way I think. You know what I mean? So like
Hmm.
I feel like the types of book bans and like literacy that's being portrayed now and the kind of like the literacy climate of like book bans are needed to like fix the education sector. I feel like it's tied correlatively to like what a type of state wants their children to think and like the type of notion that the type of notion like maybe a governor or senator wants to like have within their community.
Talking about the books, since you read books all the time, what are the some books that you would recommend?
Ooh, okay, I love this question. I just finished this book called The Picture of Dorian Gray, and for me, I love a good like philosophy type of a book that really gets you thinking, like a book that really like, gets you thinking, but it's portrayed so like literaturely, like it's very like
Hmm.
picturesque and like you're basically like plot put right into the center of the book. So I feel like Picture of Dorian Gray does that perfectly. Like it's just like it does a great job of just like getting you to think meant like stimulatingly about like your own self and like your own experiences and also like how you can tie that to like this like pretty picture that's being described. I recommend that book. I'm reading this book now called How Democracies Die. I was recommended it for one of my classes, but it's actually so interesting as to like how like especially for America, like the democratic system works and like the history of it as well. And also I love classical literature. I've been reading a little bit of Jane Austen, starting Sense and Sensibility right now. I feel like it's so, so fun. And yeah, what other books? Toni Morrison is also a go. So yeah, anything by her. Yeah.
Do you wish to write a book someday?
Ooh, I literally my mother literally asked me this question like last week, and I was like, wait, I feel like in the future I would consider it
I
truly.
think you should, 100%.
Oh, okay, thank you. Then I have to write a book, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would though, like about like just my experiences and like my perspectives on like education and like where I came from. I feel like that'd be really fruitful to inspire
Hmm.
others. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think somewhere in future you should definitely write a book. Like
Ooh,
even if it
okay.
helps like a few girls or a few people getting inspired, I think your work is done there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Also like coming to literacy and everything, we use a word access all the time. So as per you, what does access really mean beyond just being a buzzword?
Mm. I feel like access has to do again with like public policy as to like what
Hmm.
are we actually making accessible and not even accessible, but also making like what's the word? Like appealing. For example, like you can make it really accessible that like you have a lot of math programs being implemented in a school, but is it really being appealing to the students that are in that school? So I feel like access has to do more with like what a school like what a system needs and also like what the individuals in that system want as well. So I feel like access has also been really used as a buzzword of like this is what we're doing now to make this better, but like you're not seeing the effects of like you making a certain product or making a certain like image more accessible to a group of people. So it's really also like what the individuals of a certain system are like being appealing or find appealing. So
Since you talked about education system so much, if you get an opportunity to just redesign the education system today, like what are the changes that you would make as a person?
ooh, okay. I I feel like I would have more like specialized programs for like certain types of schools. Like for example, one thing that I saw that like is really beneficial. There's a school in New York that is really known for their access programs, specifically like when you go into that high school, you're paired like in colleges you have like a major. Essentially, you have a major like in high school, and you're really fostering like a love of that major. So I feel like that would be super cool to have that.
So great, and
Yeah.
that's so
It,
good.
that is so cool. And it's like, but the one thing about that is that I feel like having those certain majors kind of makes children more steered away from like exploring other things. So I feel like I would kind of implement some type of program or workshop where like you can specialize and have from like like when you're in kindergarten or like second grade, you have like a really instilled like foundation of like what you think you want to do. Like if you're interested in like writing or sciences, you have that, but you have like that certain pathway, but you also have like a pathway you're exploring so many different other things. I feel like also with things that I would want to see personally, I feel like youth hmm, more youth advisory boards in schools I feel like would be so essential as to like because also one thing about school systems in general is that like you can be implementing things like in a school that you think is going to benefit the students and the teachers, but if you're not getting those like perspectives, it's you're what you're doing is kind of going to waste. And I feel like if you have like more youth advisory boards within schools or like teen advisory boards where like students and teachers are collaborating and like having a level of deliberation about like what's needed on a classroom level, that could be so important. Like one thing I'm doing here at Yale, next year I'm starting as an intern for a public school. So I'm literally going to be paired up with a certain school that I'm going to be like
Mhm.
working with for the next 2 years. And with that, that's literally my role is like I'm in there and I'm talking with teachers and students, but I'm also like using Yale resources to like make
Hmm.
things equitable and like as to what we can do to actually benefit the economics, but also the social aspect of the school. So yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that you mentioned, I feel like students should be given a chance to explore more at a very young age. I think that's thing that's lacking today. Like
Hmm.
children are not given enough resources to explore more, like be it
Yeah.
governance or policy making or very different sectors. Like today, the world is
Mhm.
evolving so much that you have so many different things that you can get into, so many different options. But then
Yeah.
I think most of the people are not aware of those options.
Yeah.
Like
Also with the
today,
option, go ahead. No, go ahead,
yeah,
then you continue.
nothing. It's just
Yeah.
that today there are just so many things available for a person. So if you are exposed to it at a very young age, I feel like it would be a better thing to do because then a student can try different things out and then choose for himself or herself ki whatever they want to do in future.
Yeah, and also with that is like the education system is so something that we can fix and something that we can like make more diverse because like when it comes to
Yeah.
like a children's like how they're becoming like an individual and like growing up it's like contingent upon their background. So for example, like if you're having like a child in a we also don't know the household of these children as well. So if you're having like a mix of like people coming from high income classrooms, also like really low income individuals where like there's a diverse like divide as to like where opportunities are being given. I feel like we really have to like make sure the education system is giving children like those equitable opportunities, you know?
Yeah. I agree, 100%. Also, like you have told me so many times today during the podcast that you're a dancer. So, you teach improv to refugee children and you host a podcast. What do you say? How do you stay human while being this high achieving person?
Ooh. Hello. Yeah, I would say that I really love teaching at this. So it's this like little program that I found out about here at Yale. And basically I go once a week and I just like help kids like find their love of dance and just like be able to groove out for like 40 minutes. And it's so cute. And I feel like little things like that, like for me growing up, like volunteering has always been a big part of my identity. And it's kind of like grounded me in a sense. It's like, oh, like this is how I can give back to others. And like finding an outlet that like is basically like something that I did in high school because like I was volunteering at like something like that. like like, and I feel like having that is just like grounding as a person to show like what you can do, and also like culminating like all the things that you have done and like showing this to other people. And especially here at Yale, when like my days are like so busy and like back to back to back, I feel like it's just like a really good breather where I could just like be able to like dance and vibe with people and just like chill out for a bit. Yeah,
Yeah, and I feel like have being in a space like that also you can just like thoda you can just chill for a bit. Like it's
truly.
more like a therapy for you. Like since you're a dancer, like teaching students how to dance and everything, I guess it would have been more like a therapy for you. And it's so fun to do all that. Like apart from
Yeah.
all your studies and hectic days. So
Yeah, and it's like no pressure because I feel like a lot of things here, like especially classes and also just like clubs, there's a lot of pressure to like have some type of end goal with it. But I feel like with like volunteering, it's just for vibes. Like you're there just like having a good time with everyone. So yeah, there's no
yeah.
strict pressure on it. So yeah.
And what is something that dance gives you emotionally?
Yeah, I would say that dance, as I mentioned before, it really gives me an outlet to just like be myself. And I've been dancing for like all of my life, and I've been in spaces where like I really wanted to like do a certain dance or be able to like express this type of like artistic movement that's really important to like my identity or my culture, and I just haven't had the space for that. And I feel like now that I'm here and I'm at Yale and I have like people who are supporting of like me wanting to like portray my true self like while I'm dancing and also who are so supportive of it just makes me feel like I am like capable of like doing like being able to like show everything that I truly wanted to show like through all my years growing up when I couldn't show it. So yeah, it's just like for me, it's just also it's a break. Like I really see dance as something with like no pressure to it.
Yeah.
So like I really it's like genuinely no pressure. Like the dancing that I'm a part of, like we have like our showcases, we have little performances, but at the end of the day, it's like really for fun, you know? And it's like just like chill out for a bit. Yeah.
So, have you ever feel pressurized to, constantly perform excellence, like be it in
Mm.
dance or in life or anything, since you're at such prestigious school and everyone about around you, they are just chasing excellence. So, have you ever felt that pressure inside you?
I would say I'm really grateful for like the household that I grew up in because my parents were always so supporting of like if I wanted to do a certain endeavor, if I wanted to do this or that, like it was truly like what I wanted to do and like that was a kind of always my guiding notion, my guiding like idea and notion throughout my life. So I feel like now that I'm here and I have like I do have a dual sense of like yes I have to do the best that I can and like make the most out of my time at Yale, but I'm also human and like I also there's some things that just like aren't going to be able to get done, but that's okay because I'm doing my
Yeah.
best and for me that is excellence. Like I feel like my best is excellence. So I'm not too contingent upon like am I making myself look good or am I like reaching this like extreme like notion of like what I should be. But if I'm doing what I truly want to do with my life, and I know like my goals are very solidified, that like I'm really okay with that. But I feel like overall with Yale, there is like I would say there is like a notion to like you have to be the best and do the best. But I feel like if you kind of know what you want to do, and also if you don't have that extreme pressure on yourself as an individual, like it's really a divide. It's truly a divide. And also I see that a lot here with clubs. I think about Yale, we have a very like extreme, not extreme, but more of very serious club culture. Like a lot of my friends are in like consulting groups and like these business affiliated like pre-professional groups. And it's like, okay, like we all that's so essential to like what you want to do in your life. But if you make that your center and you put too much pressure on it, like you're it's not enjoyable, you know? And like is that something that you even want to do with your future, you know? So I feel like for me personally, I feel like what I have been doing here is excellence, and I realize that there is more to be done. But that's also like that's where my end goal is. So it's like really there for me. Yeah.
Also, you mentioned that being in such a household, it was one of the major factors of how you are as a person today. Do you think growing up in a household like that changed you as a person? Like, it inscribed some qualities in you which you think it's helping you out till today.
Wait, truly. I think that like one, my parents are very like religious people, and I feel like them being really grounded in something showed me that like I have to have some type of like backing or really just like kind of driving force as to like behind everything that I do, whether it's like my ambition or like things that I'm pursuing, or like my love of like literacy and like books and things like that. Just having some guiding force is like really essential, and their perseverance and like their determination like towards the different things that they were really passionate about really just showed me that like I should like have the same and like really be like grounded in like some type of belief. And I would also say that they're very giving people, and I'm so grateful for them. And like just like the spaces that they put me in, because like the things that I want to see, as like we mentioned before, like in the education system where like children can be exposed to all these different types of things, regardless of like where they're growing up or like the income level of their neighborhood or like the jobs of their parents, you know. I feel like every child needs that like open-ended space that like the education system could provide. And I feel like it's really like related to like the kind of household my parents gave me. Like when I was younger, I was actually doing everything. Like my parents put me in like honestly everything. They put me in like swimming classes, they put me in like dancing classes. I was honestly just like had such a wide net that from there I was able to like pick out what I was passionate about. And yeah, I feel like that force is like what's inspiring me now to like go into the education system and make policy implications that can actually help the most amount of people in a really like personalized way. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like even I have such sort of parents. So even I'm very grateful to have being grown up in such a household because it opens you as a person and it develops a personality in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm not, or even me as a person, I'm not very, like, I'm very open to trying out new things and
Mm-hmm.
not
Same.
focusing on this one thing. So I guess it's better
Mm-hmm.
that you get to try new things if you have very, open parents and not trying to force you with something. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My
I love
next
that.
question is like, what's something that makes you feel like grace, like something that you really like
Mm. Wait, yeah, I love that question. I would say for me, like I'm a very big like coffee, like matcha person. I love like chai, I love
doing?
matcha. Actually, my favorite. And I feel like one thing that really makes me me is like
You
trying
have
out different
mentioned everything. Coffee, chai, matcha.
literally my big. I love them so much. But like one thing for me is like being here at Yale. I love exploring new coffee shops. Like that's like my
Hmm.
big thing. Also, one
Yeah.
thing about like my hometown is that I grew up like an hour away from New York City, like the big like Big Apple, Manhattan, and
Hmm.
like I would always be over there like exploring new places, exploring new shops. And I feel like having that like sort of replicated here at Yale where I'm able to like
Hmm.
try different coffee shops with my friends, like try little matcha spots. Like also now I feel like I'm a pro at like the best spots and also like the worst spots on campus. Like I've gotten such a good range, but like that's truly what makes me me. Like I love a good like
Yeah.
matcha review. I love a good chai review. Yeah. Also, one thing that makes me me, I would say, is like also dancing, but also like running. I'm a big runner. Like I like to go on runs over here, exploring the
Oh,
scenery. Yeah, it's like super fun. So I also do that a lot at
I
home. So
just
like
ran a
running.
marathon, like a part of a marathon. I just ran a marathon and I'm not a runner. I hate running.
Oh my gosh,
But
how
it
was
was
that?
very tiring, but there's a different feeling when you just complete a marathon. Like, it
Right.
just felt like, oh yeah, I can do it. I can do more. So the
Right,
feeling
like
of
you can
I
do
can
it.
do it, I feel like, yeah, it was everything for me. Like, that's
Wait,
it. Yeah.
I love that.
But I'm
Awesome.
asking you for all the recommendations whenever I'm coming there.
Yes. Oh, I will tell you. I know all the spots. I actually have like a list on my phone of like everything. So, yes.
For me, even I do have a list of all the cafes, all the good places that you can visit in
Literally
India
all
in
the good
Jaipur.
spots. Yeah. And it's still growing. There's so many places that I'm still trying. So, yeah.
Let's see. I'll be asking you for all the
Yes, of
recommendations.
course.
Yeah. Also, there's one question I really have to ask. Like, being at Yale comes with so much expectations from people around you, your parents, your family, your friends, and even strangers. Like, if someone hears
Yeah.
that you are studying at Yale, they have a lot of expectations from you. So, do you ever, feel imposter syndrome?
Mm, I would say that's a great question. I would say when I first got into Yale, up to my point of like actually being at Yale, I had such imposter syndrome. I was like, actually, how did I get in here? How, like, I don't, like when you do so much with your life and like, for like, I've been doing all these things in high school that like were tailored around what I wanted to do. So like, I feel like the culminating point of me would have been me getting into Yale. But then I was like, why did I get in here? Like, I don't, a part of me was like, I don't deserve it, you know? But I feel like having that like reassurance of self and being like, wow, like did all of that and now I can still continue on. And like the admissions people saw potential in me somehow. So like I really did like when I first like got in, a lot of people were shocked. Like truly like my home like the school that I went to, like I think I was the only one who got in like 4 years. So like into Yale. Like and I was like, wait, like I don't know guys, like I just like I said before, I literally applied like 2 days before, like I don't really know. But I feel like what that has just showed me that like people saw potential in me. So like I should kind of I have to see that potential in myself and like continue on with like everything that I've been building up towards. And I would say like also like first semester I did have a little bit of imposter syndrome, but it was really universal because like I was hearing from all of my friends and like everyone adjusting was like it's so different from where I'm from. And it's like you're inevitable to like feel like you're not like worthy to be in the spaces, but you truly are. And I feel like it's what you make when you assert yourself into spaces and also just like take the space that you're in and just like make the most of it. I feel like one thing that was really like I mentioned club culture here at Yale. I would say that like in the beginning, because like club time was about like 3 weeks in from moving in was the big like everyone was applying to clubs. You were hearing back from clubs, and also all those clubs are so selective that it's like when you don't get in, like there was like one club that I really wanted that I didn't get into, and I was like, wait, like, but I really this is like what I thought I wanted to do with my life, and like the people in the club didn't think that of me, but I was like, wait, I have to reroute my thinking, and like I have to
Yeah.
just like see the spaces that I'm in now and like make the
Mm.
most of it, and like maybe that one space wasn't for me. That's one thing that's also like a guiding ideology that I've had during my time here, like if I have like a goal or like something that doesn't fully go through, I'm like, wait, like maybe that just wasn't for me. Like I have to just like go and like find my space, you know? So yeah, I was like imposter syndrome is just so inevitable and have to kind of overcome it. But it takes time, so yeah.
What is the first week at Yale like? Like it must be very hectic.
I can't even tell you it's the week to week is actually so insane. We have this thing called Google Calendar and it's like
Mm.
you like schedule everything you have for the day.
Yeah.
It's like a known thing here that like your Google Calendar is like booked from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. So I would say a week for me, essential. One thing I'm really lucky is that I only have classes like basically 3 days of the week. So in the mornings I go to my classes. I can do a little lunch sometimes with my friends. Like the dining halls are so good here. Like they honestly get me. They truly get me through. And then we have this thing called like the Elm. It's like the big like coffee spot on campus,
Mm.
which I totally that's one of the big ones. I totally recommend her. And yeah, I usually go there before, and then I usually hit the library for like 4 to like 6, and then dinner time is like 6 o'clock ish. So like hop
Oh,
over for dinner.
it's at 6.
Yeah. Wait, so one thing about Yale dinners is that dinner is only open from 5 to 7. So I usually do like a 6 o'clock dinner. Yeah, it's honestly really weird because like you would think like dinner time's like 7, 8-ish, but I don't
True.
know. Yale's is a big one. Yeah, and then like I would see a lot of people here, like they do a lot of work at nights. Like I said before, the
Mm.
libraries are like booked
Yeah.
till 2 a.m. Truly booked till 2 a.m. Like the space that I'm in right now, like it looks it's actually so crowded. But I feel like one thing that like gets Yale students through is like the weekends we're able to just like chill with your friends, like maybe do a little bit of work, but it's like you don't have to do like you don't have too much pressure, you know? And also like at nights I have all my club meetings, like I have like dance at nights. Thursdays I have like my policy institute meetings. And yeah, it's a good balance of like doing work, like sleep, and also like friend time and stuff. One thing I love about Yale is this little plug right here. We have these things called butteries. So it's like every residential college they have like this like basement. They have a basement and they have a kitchen in the basement. So they have this thing called a buttery and it's like a late night food spot and it's like basically a social gathering. So like my friends literally work in our buttery for my residential college and like I'll go down there, I'll order like popcorn chicken or I'll order like a drink, order like a soda or something, and then like it's just like a little chill vibe. And I feel like having the balance of like social I know it's so silly, like you like go down from your room and like get like popcorn chicken. But like
Important to have that balance in life. Yeah.
exactly so important, especially like here when like people get so consumed in their day to day and it's like you need to chill for a little bit. Like while things are serious, like we're here to like
Yeah.
we're at Yale, we're here to get a degree, but like let's not forget that like we're all actually people, you know, and like we all
Mm.
actually like need like the social interactions to like get us through,
Yeah.
you know. So I feel like for me personally, I love the mix of like academics and also just like school stuff. So academics and like social stuff. So yeah.
And I think that's how life should be. Like you should have a balance among both of the things because just studying, and doing all those work, academic work, it just makes you very mentally exhausted. So
Yeah,
even if like I'm studying for the half of the day, I need to have like a outing with my friends after the like
exactly.
after everything, after I
Exactly.
get done with everything. So yeah.
No, truly. And that's what
One
like what
question.
God.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah.
No worries, no worries. It's just
No, I
me
just wanted
yapping.
to ask, like, what sets Yale apart from other Ivy League colleges, like
Yeah.
Harvard and other colleges? Yeah.
Hmm.
So, what's the
I
one
would
thing
say
that sets Yale apart?
I would say the community is one thing that really sets Yale apart. Because like while
Mm,
we have these like renowned academics, there's renowned access to opportunities and just like things that are always going on here. I feel like it's the communities that you build here at Yale that are just so
mm,
unmatched. Like for example, everything like when you're sorted into Yale, like through like your residential college, like and even your roommate, like you don't get to pick your roommate here. They don't let you. You have to like go through a random system. And especially everyone I'm living with now is not intentional, but yet they're like some of my closest
mm,
friends, and like I'm so grateful
mm,
for them. Like I feel like I wouldn't have vibed with any other people in any other way, shape, or form. And I'm so glad Yale like has those spaces. And yeah, it was just like the communities everywhere that are just like so foundational because like I feel like without them, you really like the ones at Yale Park, like I mentioned before, like the cultural spaces, religious spaces, dance
yeah.
spaces, they're really tailored towards like giving students diverse perspectives. And I feel like it's only really emphasized at a school like Yale. So yeah.
Mm.
And I feel like the community and also like honestly our buildings are gorgeous. Like and also oh wait, I'll get to that in a second. But our buildings are so gorgeous. Like actually every single library, I wish I could show you a photo, but like every single like
Yeah,
place
share
you
the
want to
pictures with
study
me.
Yes, I will. I will share them with you. But every single library, like even the one I'm sitting at right now, is just so like you look up and it's like so incredible, and it's like wow, like
So
this is gonna be
pleasant, so
so
beautiful. Yeah.
so beautiful, and also just like this where Yale is located, it's like the perfect mix of like a city and also just like a suburban area because it's located like with
Mm,
it's embedded within New Haven, so it's not like one centralized campus. You have to like walk through New Haven to get to your classes, and
mm,
having that mix of like city life and also like I'm at Yale too is like really
mm.
great. You can be able to interact with New Haven as well. So yeah.
One thing that I've noticed in, like Harvard and Yale majorly is that Yale is very open, like not only academic focused, like Harvard is
Hmm.
more towards academics and Yale is inclusive of everything. Like they do,
Hmm.
pay much importance to even your extracurriculars rather than only
Hmm.
academics. So talking to
Yeah.
you made me feel like you pay attention on everything, like from
Yeah.
extracurriculars, dance, art, and
Yeah.
like different things to your
Yeah.
academics. So I feel like that's the best thing about Yale.
Yeah,
Like
one
if
thing
a
that's also great
person
about Yale is like
wants,
the emphasis. You go ahead. I mean, the emphasis on like
no,
the arts and stuff. The emphasis on like the arts and like as a liberal arts like education at Yale, you're getting such like a crazy like the most insane like talented people here as well. Like for example, last night I saw there's this play called Cabaret, and like Yale did a rendition of it, and it was like it felt like I was like in the city because like how talented these actors were, and I feel like that's like so unique to Yale as to like you're having these like insanely talented people like portraying their passion. So yeah, continue.
But like being in a Ivy League college, what surprised you the most?
Hmm. I would say the most surprising thing is that not everyone is just like super. You would think that like every single person who came here is a super intellectual, super like high status. Like
Yeah.
everyone's like basically up here. But I feel like
Yeah.
everyone portrays themselves to be up here. But at the end of the day, everyone is like a
Mm,
normal. Everyone has like their little quirks and niches and things that make them like super fun and special. And I think that that's a really one thing that's really misconstrued about like the social culture at Yale is that like everyone's always in the library and always studying, but like we have so many different like things that are going on here. Like for example, we have this thing called Spring Fling, which is like our big concert that we have.
mm.
And it's like a whole like Yale
Ah,
community thing. It is so fun. Like we have these big
that
name
sounds
artists.
so fun.
Yeah, we have like this year we have a big time rapper and like Zara Larson coming, and they're both gonna
Mhm.
like they're like really big actors like here in the US, and it's like everyone's so excited to see them. And I feel like that's one thing that like gets misconstrued is like everyone here is like just here to study and do work. But yeah, everyone has like their such deep rooted passions that they show like throughout their clubs
Mm.
or like through their performances and like their a cappella groups and dancing groups. And yeah, I'd say that one big thing that's like misconstrued.
Again, they maintain a like a good life or work-life balance there at Yale. That's a great
Truly.
thing about Yale.
Yeah, I really love
Um,
it because it's like, I'll continue. Wait, I was gonna reiterate what you
No,
said, but go ahead.
no, no, nothing. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're saying something.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that it's so like prevalent too here because like everyone loves to like grab meals with each other and like even if like you don't really know a person that well, everyone's just so.
Hmm.
Well, that's the one thing I love about Yale is everyone's just so open to like get to know new people and like grab a meal with someone new or grab coffee with someone new. And I feel like at a like different maybe other Ivy leagues that's not really the emphasis. And I feel like just the spaces that Yale creates, like the community, it just makes that like
Hmm.
low key seem like a thing that should be done or like thing that just seems normal to like grab a meal with a random person, you know? Yeah.
Hmm. What's a piece of advice that you would give to, young girls who feel like Yale is not a place for them and Yale isn't for them? Because getting at Yale is considered as such a big thing that you need to pay so much attention in applications, this and that. So people tend to stress a lot about Yale, and half of the people don't even fill out the application forms just because of the fear that they won't get in. So what's the one
Mm.
thing that you would suggest them, advise them? Yeah.
I would say that like one thing that I found out, especially when I since being here, is that like basically every
Hmm.
person that I know, like in this space, is like whether it's in my dance space or like my roommates, my suite mates, they all said the same thing. They were all like, I don't belong at Yale. I like shouldn't even like I don't even know like how what made me apply. But I feel like if you have like a
Yeah.
pulling on your heart that's like, wait, like maybe I could do more, you honestly just have to take your chances with it. Because that's the place that I was in. That's genuinely the
Hmm.
place that like all my friends were in because they were like, no one in my school's ever gotten into Yale before. Like why would I be the first? But like also why not you as the first? You know? So I feel like just like if you feel something at your heart that's like, wait, maybe this space is for me, I feel like you should just take that and like follow your instincts and follow your gut as to like if you really want to see that change and like if you want to see something like being portrayed in the world, why not take a chance on it? And like if it's through Yale, like why not try? You know? So just like why not? That's also like my ideology. That was me applying to colleges. I was like, wait, just like why not? Like why not just see if I get in? And if it's for me, it's for me. If it's not, I don't need to be in that space. So yeah,
And you can always take that chance.
truly, just take
Like
the
you
chance.
might get in. Like there's always a possibility that you might get in. So talking to
Exactly,
you
just always.
makes me want to go to Yale, I swear. Sounds so fun and so good. Yeah. But like Grace, if you had to define your mission in life in just one sentence on what you're building, so how would you describe it?
I would say youth inspiring youth. Youth inspiring youth. Because that's like, I really want to just like put myself out there and show other people that like
Hmm.
the things that I'm doing are possible. Like, for example, I'm doing like a little bit of work with like, well, getting into work with like the admissions office and like trying to get into that sector just to show kids that like maybe from my hometown that like these things are possible, you know? So if I'm able to like even inspire just like one person to just like take advantage of something that's been like pulling on their heartstrings, like I feel like that's just like I'm solidified for life, you know? Like it makes me so happy.
What kind of women do you hope of becoming in 10 years from now?
That is such a good question. I would
Because
say,
like a lot of people ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? So
yeah,
I don't really like that question because you don't even know like what you want to do in like next 2 years. So how can I tell you about
exactly.
5, 10 years? But like what sort of women do you want to become in like next coming 10
Mm.
years?
I would say I want to become someone that is kind of well, is related to who I am now, as someone who's so like still self-living, but yet if I'm like whatever career that I'm pursuing, I'm still like having my values of like benefiting the most amount of people as I can, giving all that I have to like making others feel seen and feel heard. If I'm still abiding by the, well, I know that I will be, but like when I'm still abiding by those principles, like I feel like I'll be set, and that's kind of all I want to see in the future being able to help the most amount of people possible. Someone who's like strong, who I am now, like just caring. I feel like me, the person that I am currently today, just like times as of like in like values of like I am more dedicated and more having the more resources once I get out of it.
Um, I just love that your work isn't just loud. Like, it's very
Mm,
layered, and
mm,
I think that that's what makes it very powerful too.
thank
Like, you
you.
as a person, you're just involved in everything. Like, that's what I've seen, and
Thank
that's
you.
so relatable even to me. I really like trying out very new things. So, talking to you was like talking to a friend, honestly,
Oh,
and
thank you. I love
talking
this
to a friend and getting their
conversation.
advice on things. So, it was
Thank
really
you.
great talking to you. It was really great having you.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah, like thank you so much for joining and for this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's so great speaking to you today.